This will be the reading for the sign of Taurus for the month of September 2026. The deck that I'm using is the Rider-Waite deck by Pamela Coleman-Smith and Arthur Waite. And what I've done is I've pulled 3 cards for each consecutive week within the month. I also pulled an overall energy card, and this overall energy card will affect the events and the activities that you do within each of those weeks and each consecutive card. So grab a coffee, put your feet up, grab the cat, the dog, however you relax, and have a good listen because it's going to be a long one. So we're going to start with your energy card. Now, your energy card is a temperance card, and it's reversed. And that talks about you being overwhelmed. You're overwhelmed by chaotic circumstances around you, and you're trying to stay in control of your life. Perhaps you are dealing with health issues, or maybe you're dealing with financial issues, or maybe you're even dealing with issues in your environment. But you are trying to stay in control of your life, okay? And you're trying to find unique solutions to problems that you're dealing with, and you're having to be very creative. But it does talk about inequality causing problems. Now, it does say you're trying to deal fairly, or maybe even share equally your time, your effort, your financial prowess, okay? But it does talk about you being more open to guidance and listening more to advice, okay? Because there's a solution for you. For whatever problem you're dealing with, whether it's health or financial, there is a solution. You just have to be a little bit more open-minded. There is an elixir to your problem. Now, it talks about interest in the healing arts, yoga, tai chi. You're focusing on your body, your spirit, and your mind, okay? Because there is disharmony in your mind at this point in time and your body. So you might be experimenting with alternative medicines throughout the month of September. Now, emotions need to be balanced. Your emotions will affect your health. People who have high cortisol will end up usually with high blood pressure, problems like that, okay? So be aware that leave the stress by the wayside and focus on positivity, bringing things as above, so below. So bringing things into your environment, into your life that are more pleasant. Stop focusing on the negative, okay? And focus more on the positive traits. And that's what you need to focus on in each individual week within the month of September, Taurus. Okay, so we're in that first week, okay? In the first couple of days that first week. Now, you might lack awareness or maybe even self-confidence as you're moving into this week in whatever mode, okay? Whether it's dealing with your health or finances. You kind of feel a lack of resources, but also a lack of understanding for something. You're not really sure what you want to do with your life. You're drifting from one interest to the other. Perhaps a relationship has ended. Or there has been a break in a relationship of sorts, and you feel alone, you feel isolated, you feel, left to your own avails. But it does talk about doing some self-searching to see what is right in your life, whether that is an educational pursuit, whether it's a relationship pursuit, or whether it's simply just focusing on your health and you're not really sure in which direction to take it. Should you listen to the medical profession? Should you, vie off on your own and try a holistic method? So you're kind of torn between what it is that you want to do. So it does talk about listening to experience of those people who have been there and done that. So focusing more on your inner healing, okay? Now, there is someone in your circle of interest who is not trustworthy. And they mightn't even be interested. Maybe you're interested in them romantically, and they couldn't give a flying toot. They don't want anything to do with a relationship with you, okay? Now, just talk about you being in a position of weakness. I mean, that could be in your health. That could be in a romantic inclination. But maybe you don't have what it takes to be in a new relationship or a new job. Maybe you don't have that inner balance that you need, okay? Maybe you've retired. And maybe you're feeling isolated, you're feeling alone, you don't know what to do with your retirement time, okay? And that's what it's talking about, is that at this point in time, maybe you weren't prepared for retirement. And that's what you need to focus on in the first couple of days of that first week. So we're moving into the middle part of that first week. Maybe the middle 2 days of the first week, okay? and you're indecisive. Like I said, in the first couple of days, you were wondering what direction you were going to take this, and now you've got some choices, and you're not really sure which choice to take. Do you want to go back to school? Do you want to go into second career? Do you want to start a business? Do you want to have a mom and pop business on the side? Okay. But it does say at this point in time, you need to wait. You need to hold off on something, on that decision. Have patience though, because the wait's almost over. You're going to come up with a solution, okay? Now, it does say don't get in any trouble at this point in time, okay? Stay the hell away from legalities, because legalities will drag on and on and on. And you're in that transitional period in your life. And a lot of the signs are going through this. September is that transition where you're moving from possibly problems that you were dealing with. Now you're moving into the future in a better and brighter way. But it does talk about the fact that you're in this transitional period, but that's creating problems for the people around you. And that might even be if you have children. Maybe it's creating problems for your children. Maybe you are getting up in age and maybe you're having health problems that, your children maybe are young adults and they're having to contend with taking care of mom or dad or, aunt or uncle or grandma or grandpa. And it's starting to create an issue for them. It also talks about someone who possibly lost their driver's license. Now, this could be you. I mean, maybe you've reached retirement age and you're having problems with your eyesight. And maybe you're reliant upon your children to take you somewhere to go shopping or to pick up the groceries or whatever it may be, doctor's appointments, okay? And so there's a bit of an issue there. But it does talk about getting your license back if you've lost it, or maybe someone you care about, a child of yours, has lost their license, okay? Now, I don't read for children. I only read for persons over the age of 18. Now, I just talk about a young person, so a young adult, okay? They're gaining some personal freedom. Maybe they're getting their driver's license. Maybe this was a child of yours that lost their license, and they're feeling that lack of independence, but they're going to be getting it back. So they're going to gain some personal freedom, which is a good thing. Now, when they get their license back, it does say that there is some new thing that's coming with that accomplishment, okay, and that acknowledgement. Now, that could be just getting a driver's license, your first time license, but it could also be getting a mode of transportation. And that mode of transportation might have been procured by yourself, and you bought it for a child of yours so that they could help out, take you driving to doctor's appointments and make life a little bit easier, okay? But make sure that they agree to this. Don't expect it just because you bought them a car. Don't expect them to be at your beck and call, okay? But it is giving them a new sense of purpose in their life. And so I'm kind of seeing that, yeah, they would be very prone to wanting to help the person who bought them the car. Now, it also talks about being stubborn. What child do you know that isn't stubborn? And not listening to reason, okay? Being very defiant. Now, it also talks about someone binding you to an uncomfortable situation. Now, think about this, right? So you bought someone a car, a child of yours. You purchased a car for them in order for them to help you out. And that's kind of like binding them into a situation. So I'll buy you a car if you're willing to help out a little bit, right? So what I'm seeing here is that it could be a little bit of shaky ground there, where maybe they're not appreciating the fact that you've helped them out in some way, and they're not wanting to reciprocate by driving your butt around. You know what I'm saying? So in that first week, there's going to be where you're going to have to make a decision about something. I mean, maybe you're going to have to decide, I don't know if I'm going to put the car in your name. Maybe I'll keep it in my name so that I actually have control over what happens to it. Excuse me. I have got a frog in my throat. Okay, the last 2 days of that first week, you have the Six of Wands reversed, and that talks about a lack of confidence, okay? I mean, maybe you've moved up an echelon. Maybe you've got a new job, new employment. As I said, maybe you've retired. And so you're having to learn how to budget the new finances that are coming in. It's not a greatest finance as it was in the past when you were working, and maybe, retirement has been a little tight on you. So it does talk about a lack of confidence. It does talk about possibly you not having the opportunity to demonstrate your skill in leadership. Now, this could also be about a child of yours, right? Where, this child went for a driver's license, they graduated, they got it, you bought them a car to help you out, okay? And maybe they're not confident with their driving skills. Yeah. And maybe they're asking you to teach them. So the next card you have is the Six of Wands reversed, and that talks about a lack of confidence. And it does talk about someone, and possibly a child of yours or someone that you're mentoring, someone that maybe you're teaching how to drive, okay? They don't have the skills that they need, perhaps for winter driving, and maybe you're going to instruct them in some little tips in winter driving, that type of thing, okay? Now, that's just an example because this is a general reading, okay? Other people are seeing you as a leader. Maybe you want to start a business and you think, oh, I don't think I have the skills. And other people are encouraging you and they're saying, yeah, you do. You've got the skills. You've done this your whole life. Of course you can do this, right? Now, it does say that you need to get other people on board with your ideas. So let's say you're wanting to start a business. You might have to include the people in your close circle of energy. Maybe it's a family business. Maybe you and a group of friends are getting together and starting a sideline business, a mom and pop business, okay, that type of thing. But you certainly have to encourage other people to get involved and to help you with it. So it does talk about a bit of uncertainty, but you're still moving forward with it, okay? You're not really sure if you can count on those people around you to help you, okay? To be involved in the process. So you might have to you might have to go it alone. But it does talk about you being more socially active. You're a little bit shy there, though, Taurus. You're shy, and you don't really feel comfortable about standing up on the podium and maybe even performing in public. Maybe you're wanting to become an actor, an actress at a community event, okay? Getting involved in plays and things like that, where you're acting the part in front of a group of people and you're not really feeling confident with that, right? I mean, it could simply be that you're getting involved in some type of concert. Maybe you are a singer. Maybe you have a talent with singing. Maybe you have a talent with acting. Maybe you have a talent with, painting, and you're having an exhibition of sorts of your art and you're not really confident on that level. And people are encouraging you because they see your abilities as positive, okay? It does say that you're on your way to success, okay? So use everything in your repertoire as experience because it will move you forward. So we are now in the second week, first couple of days in the second week. You're finding your balance, okay? You're finding your balance in your life. Whether that is blood pressure, I mean, it could simply be your health. You're finding the balance. You're finding how to incorporate some peacefulness into your life, okay? Maybe getting involved in nature walks, maybe getting involved in learning, simply going through the bush and learning trees. I mean, I remember doing that with my children, teaching them the different trees and what foods they could eat in the bush if they were lost and things like that, right? So it does talk about you getting involved in something where you're mentoring other people. Now, also talks about you sharing your resources or your money, and that's going to bring you popularity. I mean, certainly, who doesn't like somebody who's putting their hand in their pocket and doling out the dough, okay? But have faith that you're moving forward into prosperity, okay? You know what you're doing, you're organized, and you're financially balanced at this point in time. Now, there's someone that you least expect. You didn't think that they really cared what you were doing or what you were wanting to achieve, okay? And you know what? They do. They do. And they're going to help you in some way. They're going to step forward and they're going to help you in some way, whether that is, making a business plan, whether it is, putting your product out there for people to see, doing advertising for you, word of mouth, okay, that type of thing. They care. They care a hell of a lot more than you thought they did. Yeah. And it does talk about a relationship with this individual. It's going to be harmonious and very cooperative. And you know, you're going to be very productive during this time. There's going to be good time with family and friends, enjoyment, celebrations, a material well-being. There's money coming. You might even be getting involved in some type of service club, or maybe even volunteerism, where you're helping or paying attention to the problems of the people around you, and that is going to make you very popular. People are going to see the goodness in you before you even do. So we're moving into the middle 2 days of that second week, and you have the Knight of Wands straight up. And that talks of a male energy, a Leo, a Sagittarius, or an Aries. And that's someone who's very fearless, very enterprising, but, you know, maybe even an inventor. So it does talk about someone who goes after what they want, but they're a little bit impulsive, okay? They move forward without thinking it through all the time, okay? But it's someone with a very creative mind, and they've invented something. And maybe they're asking you to come on board with them. Now, it could be that this is just a faction of your personality where you have, I mean, you're an earth sign, but you can have personality traits of other signs. And maybe this is you. Maybe you've invented something. And so you're wanting to take it into a business proposition, okay? It does talk about a new goal, talks about new relationships, new endeavors. You're becoming more active. Maybe getting involved in sports or a sports team, okay? Or fitness, learning how to skate, learning how to ski, learning, I don't know, how to swim, whatever it may be, or belonging to a fitness group, okay? But it does talk about you focusing on your health at this point in time, bringing your mind, your body, and your spirit into balance. Now, there is a large amount of money coming to you. Have you got some type of investment? Maybe this business that you started, or maybe you invented something and you sold the patent rights to it, and that's going to give you a lot of money. But you are going to be very highly self-reliant, okay? You're very competitive at this point in time. You're expanding your social network. You might be going to school or going on a trip at a distance, but you are expanding your skills in some way. Maybe you're leaving the country to move to a new country to get experience, work experience, or to get some type of training, or to go to school. It does talk about romance, a mutual attraction, possibly with a fire sign individual. You are going somewhere from the past where you have frequented, or where you have lived, or where you have worked before, okay? To do something new, taking your business or your inventions or your creativity to someplace that you have been before, and starting possibly a new endeavor in that area. But there is going to be romance and a mutual attraction that comes along with that. So you may meet someone from a place that you frequented before, and that is going to turn into a romance. Yeah, so it does talk about a new project, service clubs, sports clubs, a close-knit group, okay, where you are hanging with like-minded people. It also talks about uniforms, joining a job that wears uniforms. I mean, that could be nursing, that could be a police officer, that could be a healthcare worker, okay? Somewhere where there is a uniform, a firefighter, maybe even the military, okay? So it does talk about you joining a group of like-minded people that are vying for the same things in life. So as you're moving into the last 2 days of that second week, you have the Four of Cups reversed. I don't know, Taurus, do you have a history of emotional depression where you get sad over the loss of things in your life? When you see that your life is, going in one direction, you start to get depressed about leaving things behind. Relationships, people, environments, okay? Even material belongings or properties that you own. Maybe you sold a property and you're feeling guilty about it. You're feeling sad about it. You're feeling like at loss about it, okay? Now just talk about your desire to be alone. Disharmony in your mind and your body. I mean, you were doing so well at the start of this second week, and then at the end of the week, you're kind of wishing you could turn the clock back. It does talk about issues in your home environment, okay, where there is arguments. I mean, maybe you got into a new relationship, and maybe your kids, if you have kids that still live at home, maybe they're disagreeing with it and they're kicking up a fuss. So there is disruptive influences in your home. It could simply be that the neighbor next door moved in, you're in an apartment and the neighbor moved in next door and they're very noisy or rowdy or keep the music up all night or bang on the walls, okay, that type of stuff. But it does talk about you needing to focus on your mind, your body, and your spirit. So you're being pulled away from that sense of harmony in your life in the last 2 days of that second week. There is something that is happening in your environment that is causing problems for you, that is, creating that chaotic energy. So it also talks about it bringing about stress. Stress brings inflammation. So keep a watch on changes in your body. If you have a mole that has elevated or has, irregular borders, those type of things, be very, very diligent in watching for signs on your body or in your body telling you that it is out of balance. That could simply be not being able to sleep at night because of the stress, because of the chaotic energy around you, okay? Those type of things. But be very vigilant on watching your health in the last couple of days of that second week. It's very important. We are now in the third week. In that third week, the first couple of days of that third week is the Empress card reversed. And that talks about a lack of commitment to something, okay? A lack of understanding, a lack of guidance. You're feeling lonely. You're feeling displaced, okay? There's no security. You don't feel that sense of serenity. And everybody is dealing with this in September. Absolutely every single sign. The 3 S's. Serenity, stability, and security. And you have none of that. You don't feel that you have any of those things, okay? Now, it could talk about a loss of a job, loss of a relationship, or a partnership. I mean, simply it could be that maybe your partner has decided to move on in their life, okay? And you feel left, you feel secluded, you feel lost because this partner has left your life. I mean, it could simply be that maybe someone has passed, someone that you cared about has passed, and you're vying for the future, and you're thinking about the past as you're moving into the future, and it's creating that confusion and that sense of loneliness where perhaps you would wish to bring the past back, but we all know that is impossible. Now, it does talk about possibly some issues stemming from a maternal aspect in your life, okay? Now, Taurus, did you have a bad relationship or a dysfunctional relationship with a maternal aspect in your life? And you're thinking about that. There is something about your life right now. I mean, as we get older, and I don't read for kids, right? But as you get older, you see things change that possibly you witnessed with maybe a maternal figure in your life. You witnessed their health declining. You witnessed them becoming more isolated and secluded, and the people in their life passing away or leaving them, okay? You witness these things, and maybe you're kind of looking back to the past and you're thinking about the relationship that you had with a maternal aspect in your life. Now, it doesn't have to be a mother. It could be a dysfunctional relationship with a sister, an aunt, a grandmother, even a daughter, where there was tensions in relationships and you're contending with those memories now as you're getting older yourself, okay? So that second week is all about releasing all that tension, moving forward, and having confidence in your ability to move forward. So we're going into the middle 2 days. Well, what I'm seeing here too, you're in the middle 2 days of that second week, or third week, sorry. And what I'm seeing here is that there might be someone in your life that is literally smothering you with affection, like literally. It could be a child, it could be a mother, it could even be a spouse, whether you're male, female, or other, okay? Someone has that nurturing energy and they're literally going overboard. You might be dealing with health issues and you're remembering perhaps a maternal aspect in your life that dealt with those same issues. And you're kind of floundering. You don't know in what direction to take your need for health and serenity. And I mean, it could simply be that there's someone around you, a daughter, an aunt, a sister, a partner, a life partner, and they're nurturing you. They're helping you. They're helping you because you're dealing with illness, and you kind of feel like, damn it, I can wipe my own butt. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like you're being overwhelmed with all this loving. Okay, yeah. Now, it also talks to resistance about needing help, right? And a lot of people nowadays, I mean, if you were born in the 50s and 60s and you know, you're used to having to take care of yourself and you're used to the tough life, right? And then all of a sudden, someone's stepping in and taking care of everything that you need done, and you're kind of resisting it. I can take care of myself. I can dress myself. I can brush my own teeth. I can comb my own hair. I don't need you to do all these things for me, okay? So what I'm seeing here is that there is someone in charge, a female energy that's in charge, and it could be a caseworker if you're dealing with health issues, and maybe you're going in, you know, maybe you're going into a home, or maybe you're having to get a caretaker come into your house, whether to take care of you or someone that you care about. And what I'm seeing here is this person is not putting up with it. You're saying, no, I can do that myself. I don't need somebody. And they're saying, yes, you do. And you will have someone. We will send someone in to help you take a bath. We will send someone in to do your housekeeping. Okay. That type of thing. So you're kicking up a fuss. And this female in charge is saying, I don't care. We're going to have someone come in and take care of you. Okay. So you have to examine your own value toward things. Okay. Towards your health and your intrinsic, values in your life, the things that you give credit to or credibility to, okay? So you're focusing on your health at this point in time. And you know, there's even this superficial type of beauty standard that you're kind of looking at, and whether you're male, female, or other, okay, you're looking at it and you're thinking, damn, I don't look so great. And you're wanting to change something. Maybe you're thinking, okay, maybe I'll get a facelift, or maybe I'll get a hair transplant, right? Something like that. But it does say that you might be looking into some type of cosmetic surgery. Each to their own, okay? You make a decision based on what you value, and other people's make a decision on what they value. So this might be something that you want. This might be something that you want. Now, it does talk about female health problems. So it could be maybe a family member of yours, maybe yourself, okay? Maybe you're dealing with health problems, and that's kind of making you look at yourself in a new light and be very critical, okay? It also talks about something that is not consistent. And when this card shows up, it usually is an imbalance in fluids, okay? So that could do with your thyroid. And I'm feeling a very strong energy around your thyroid. Are you losing weight? Are you gaining weight? Are you having a fluctuation in your weight, okay? Are you finding inflammation? So it could talk about blood pressure. It could talk about diabetes. Now, I'm kind of torn between this because it's talking about the fact that it's your health, that it's the fluids in your body, but it also can stand for a family that is fragmented, either through dispersion of children, where children have, you know, gone to all four corners of the earth, or it could talk about divorce. Are you in the process of divorce? Or is a family member in the process of divorce? And so you're dealing with their energies, their depression, their sadness, their displacement, their sense or lack of security, serenity, and stability in their life, okay? And that might be creating issues in your health. Stress will cause inflammation, and inflammation will cause health problems, okay? Now, it says that possibly if your maternal aspect is still alive, and maybe you're trying to patch up this relationship, this dysfunctional relationship, and maybe you're turning to a maternal aspect in your life and you're saying, what can we do to fix this? It could be a partner. It could be a female partner. It could be a daughter, okay? It could be an aunt, a sister, I don't know, a grandmother, someone, a maternal aspect, and that could be of any level in your life. So mother or grandmother or aunt, something like that, okay? Now, it does say that you're turning to them to say, well, what can I do to help? How can we fix this? And I'm seeing that it's going to be a very creative type of fix, okay? if you're wanting to patch up a relationship with a maternal aspect in your life of whatever level, okay, you're going to have to be very creative because they're set in their ways. And if it's a child of yours, okay, they might not be set in their ways, but they learned their behaviors from you. Okay, you raised them, you gave them the learning experiences in life, and so they're looking to you for that guidance once again. We are now in the last 2 days of that third week. Well, it's talking about problem solving. It's talking about having to move very quickly and prioritizing things, okay? It does talk about creativity, and, you know, most of my Taurus friends are very, very creative. In fact, many of them are artists. Now, you need a clear vision of what it is that you want to accomplish, okay? And you might even need to reach out for help. There's something that you are inexperienced to do, and you might even have to concede a point in order to get along with other people. Don't get distracted by these sideline inadequacies that you feel that you have, okay? You do have the experience that you need. You do have the knowledge. You do have the smarts in order to move this forward. Now, you might be dealing with, as I said, a health problem, and you're being very creative with how you deal with that health problem. So maybe you're turning to holistics. Maybe you're turning to yoga or nature walks, okay? And you need a clear vision of what it is that you truly want to accomplish. Do you want to, you know, extend your life another 10 years? Do you want to just have a more peaceful life? Do you just want to balance your blood sugars? Do you want to balance your, you know, your blood pressure? Is your blood pressure over the top? Okay, those type of things. What is the goal here? So have a fitness goal or have a health goal and work towards successful completion of what it is that you're vying to do. So be aware that it's going to take some hard work. And, you know, it is talking about a period of time that you're going to be focused on this. And it's talking about 2 to 5 months. And after 2 to 5 months, you might find that success that you've been vying for. Now, there is a sense of identity that's forming, okay? So it's almost like you were kind of like, you were lost. You were like a lost little child. And now all of a sudden you're finding your gumption again. You're finding a reason for being. You're finding a reason for waking up in the morning, whether it's just for going for that long walk down a country road, okay? You're finding your balance mentally, emotionally, psychologically, and physically. Now, it also talks about the fact that, you know, most of my Taurus friends are very stubborn. They're mule-headed. They're very mule-headed. And maybe that's going to work against you in some form, right? You're wanting to get up and go for that early morning walk, but maybe your partner or your friend or your mentor or whoever it is that's, you know, involved in this doesn't want to go. They're more of a afternoon person. They're not a morning person, okay? And so maybe instead of, you know, fighting with them to get them up to go for a walk at 5 o'clock, maybe you could wait a couple hours and give them a chance to, you know, unwind and then go for the walk or to actually wake up, okay? So don't be bullheaded. Taurus, don't be bullheaded because it's going to work against your progress. Trust me, okay? Last couple of days in the third week, okay? And what I'm seeing is an air sign individual. So I think that's Gemini, Aquarius, and Libra. And it's someone who's very analytical, okay? Someone who's very intellectual. They love challenges, very self-assured, very confident, very independent, and they're very fair in their decisions, okay? But they're not emotionally connected, okay? They're not the type of person that you could let your tears out on or show any type of emotion with because they don't care. They don't care. I mean, it looks like they don't care because they're more factual. They deal with the facts, right? So maybe you're the type of person that, and this might be the person that you're asking to go for that morning walk with you, okay? It is a female energy, so it could be a partner, a friend, a romantic partner, a sister, an aunt, okay? Someone who you're trying to include in possibly your fitness, and you're asking them to walk with you. Let's go for a walk in the morning, right? Let's go in nature and enjoy this. Let's enjoy our older years, if that's the case. Or maybe a fitness buff. You're saying to them, okay, let's go. I'm ready to do this. Let's start walking every morning. And and you're saying, yeah, that's going to help me heal. That's going to get my body in balance. And they're saying, no, it's not. I'm going to take you into the doctor and we're going to get you some medication, right? So it could be simply someone disagreeing with what it is you want to do. Yeah. It could also stand for a higher authority, okay? Maybe not a partner, maybe a lawyer, a judge, a programmer, a doctor, a scientist, a neurologist, someone that's saying to you, no, that's not going to work. We're going to give you some medication. You're going to be on the medication for, a matter of months, or maybe it's going to be a lifetime medication. And you're saying, no, we're not. I don't want to do that, right? But this is someone who is very factual, and they're going to hand you the facts, how they view the facts, okay? And there might be a little bit of truth to what they're saying, but it has to be reciprocal, okay? You respect their views and they have to respect yours. So indeed, I mean, that is just something that you're dealing with in that third week. So looking at possibly health options, looking at educating yourself in health options. Possibly someone in your life is dealing with health problems and you're helping them, maybe even a child of yours, and you're helping them to find a balance in their health, whether it be, going to the professionals and getting medication and changing their lifestyle, okay? So you're encouraging them in some way, but they're very stubborn, so it's going to take it's going to take a hell of a lot of work on your part, Taurus, to get them to change their viewpoint, okay? So now we're in the last week. First card you have is the Ten of Wands, and it's straight up. Ten of Wands straight up, it talks about taking on everybody else's burden, okay? You're carrying the burdens for a lot of people, but you know what? Taurus, you're strong. You're strong, you're capable, you're holding your own. There's multiple responsibilities, okay? You're feeling healthy, you're feeling focused, so whatever it was you did in that third week, it worked. It worked. So whether it be a holistic method or whether it be, taking the medication from the doctor for a period of time, you've been successful. So you're feeling healthy, you're focused, you're able to hold it all together, you're strong and you're resilient. You are the foundation for this, okay? You're holding it all together for other people who are not able to. Maybe they're not able to contribute or even do their fair share. And it could be in a financial scenario where you're holding the gamut, you're paying the bills, you're taking care of, the purchasing of things that need to be purchased, food, clothing, medications, okay? You're wanting to be involved in your life. You're not wanting to hide your light under a bushel anymore. You see that there's more to life. You see that you're capable and you're more confident now than you ever were, okay? So you might be taking on a financial burden for a child, a partner, but it does say, you're stressed out. Of course you're dealing with stress. You're taking on the burdens of other people, but you're able to do it. But you're stressed to the max, okay? But you're still moving forward. And, Taurus, you might be bullheaded and you might be stubborn, but when you decide to do something, you do it. And you do it in whatever way you have to. Physical, mental, or spiritual. Okay, we're in that middle 2 days. The middle 2 days of the last week. And you're taking on everybody's burden in the first couple of days, right? And then in the middle of the week, you get your wish. You wish that things get better. You wish that maybe a child of yours gets a job and you had been, paying the brunt of the bills for them because they didn't have money. And then they get a job. You wished for it, okay? Whatever you wish in the middle part of that last week, you are going to manifest it. Put it out in the universe. Ask the divine, your divine, whoever it may be, to give you guidance, to give you help. And you know what? You will be successful. This is the wish card. It does talk about establishing connections with people of different races, ages, walks of life. Talks about family celebrations. Maybe you're going to win the lottery, or maybe someone's going to get married. Maybe you're going to go on vacation. You can count on your family, your friends, your co-workers, okay, for support. You're finding your group of people. You're feeling a sense of empowerment and belonging. And you know, the answer to any question that you have, any needs that you have, the answer is yes, you will get it. Yes, you want the job? Yes, you're going to get the job. Did you win the lottery? Yes, you're going to win the lottery. Okay, those type of things. There is attainment of wealth. So the last week of September, in the middle 2 days, on a Wednesday or a Friday or a Saturday, buy a damn ticket. Yeah, buy a lotto ticket. Now, it does talk about you having visual dreams, very, very visual dreams, very detailed dreams, okay? You're remembering those things, and it's your intuition. It's kicking in and saying, yeah, this is what's going to happen. Your happiness is assured. Yeah. There's a new reality coming into being, and that could even be a new child. Maybe you're hoping to become a first-time parent, or maybe you're hoping for that second or third child. Well, it's on its way, trust me. So if you're dealing with health issues and you're hoping that whatever it is that you have incorporated into your lifestyle, if it's going to help your health, yes, it will. And yes, you will heal from any injuries, mental, spiritual, physical, whatever it may be. Success is assured. Last 2 days of that last week of September. Six of Cups reversed. So I don't understand this card completely, because in the middle 2 days, everything was going your way. And then the last couple of days of the month, you're not feeling secure. Not feeling secure. And it has something to do with the past. It talks about a gift or an inheritance from a past relationship, okay? It does say that the answer to a dilemma that you're dealing with, it could just be simply that you're questioning something, okay? Maybe you're questioning your paternity. Maybe you're questioning, because it did talk about a child. And maybe you're questioning, is that my child? Or maybe you're questioning your own paternal influence in your life. Are you who you thought you were? Right? Is your DNA following along the same lines as the rest of your siblings? Okay, those type of things. Now, it does say that you are going to be traveling back to the past, maybe to, maybe someone has crossed over, and maybe you're going to bid your adieus at their final place of rest, right? There may be some arguments with the people around, and they may not, they certainly may not agree with your lifestyle or agree with something, or just don't want to be close to you, don't want to be, have you in their circle of energy. And so there might be a few arguments. Maybe you don't like your cousin Jethro, and maybe you and Jethro are going to get into an argument, that type of thing. But it also talks about appearance of an old friend, an old family member, someone that you haven't seen for a long time, and it may create some tension in your circle of energy or in that environment, okay? Maybe you have gone, as I said, to bid your last farewell to someone at their last place of rest, and someone that's there doesn't think you should be there, or that they're not willing to share the limelight with you at that point in time. They don't want you there, okay? It could be an ex-partner. It could be a family member who has taken offense to something you have said or you have done, or maybe you've taken offense to something they said or done. But there is a little bit of conflict. So Taurus, knowing my Tauruses, okay, you don't put up with too much shit. And a lot of the times a Taurus will close up and they will walk away. And that might be the best thing to do at the end of the month if you end up in an argument with someone over, differing beliefs or different values, right? Just walk away, each to their own, right? Each to their own. So that's the end of the reading for September for my Tauruses. You'll have to excuse the the coughing and the little bit of hacking that went on, but I think the air where I am in my apartment is very dry, and so I'm dealing with that at this point in time. Anyhow, I shall see you in the month of October when the nice, cool, crisp weather is here and the fall has begun. So I shall see you in October. Namaste, my friends. Take care, be safe, and take care of that body of yours. Bye-bye.